Good evening, welcome to Debbie's Back Porch. Thank you for joining us again tonight. Tonight we're going to make chili. And chili is pretty easy and everybody has their own favorite chili recipe. So I'm not going to tell you my chili recipe is better than yours. It may not be, and it probably isn't to you, even if it were to me. So the reason I'm going to show you a chili recipe is because on Safe Canning by the Book on Debbie's Back Porch, the canning group that we have, a question comes up over and over and over again. Can I can my own chili recipe? And the other question is, why can't I can chili with meat and beans in quarts? So let me clarify that a little bit, and then I'll explain to you why this video answers those questions. There is no safe tested recipe from any reliable source that has chili with meat and beans in quarts. It's in pints. Ball has a recipe for chili in quarts, but it has no beans. And of course you can do beans in quarts. So our advice always is, if pints are too small for your needs, can the ingredients separately and put the chili together before you eat it. So that's what I do. I can the ingredients separately, even though I generally can a few pints of a safe tested recipe of chili. But for larger portions, I can the ingredients separately. And if you've been around for a while, you know that I always urge people to can ingredients, not to can recipes, when possible. So I'm going to give you a recipe that I use when I put chili together from scratch, from home canned ingredients. And then I'm going to tell you, don't can your own chili recipe. It just isn't tested. People like to do with their chili what they like to do with their chili. It's a matter of pride. My chili's the best, your chili's the best, Uncle Joe's chili's the best. And it may all be true, but that doesn't make it safe to can. In general, it's not okay for you just to make up your own creative recipe and then can it. So I want to show you the alternative, and it's a different way of thinking. It's a way of thinking about, how do I make sure what I put in the jar is safe, as opposed to, how do I put what I want to eat, spiced the way I want, into a jar? Because there's no way to know that that's safe unless you start with a tested recipe. So we're going to make chili from home canned ingredients with just a couple of other things. And then you can spice it up, change it any way you like to make it your own chili, which is probably the best on the block. Be right back. Okay, here we go with our home canned ingredients. I have a quart of red beans, which you may or may not have seen me can, salt, ground beef, tomato paste, red pepper flakes, a pint jar of salsa, and a jar of tomato sauce. I have a tablespoonful of butter, I have an onion, and then spices. I have chili powder, cumin, and salt. And I forgot, and we'll add a little garlic, just a little bit of minced garlic. So those are our ingredients, and we'll get started. Here I have my Lodge enameled Dutch oven. I've melted a tablespoonful of butter in, and I'm putting a medium-sized chopped onion in, and a teaspoonful of minced garlic. And if you watch me not much, you know I always brown the onions first when I'm using onions, so that they release their wonderful flavor. Gonna let those brown for about a minute. Next, I have here a pint of my home canned ground beef. And this is grass-fed beef that we bought locally. And when you can your ground beef, you put either broth or water in. And so this has between 1/4 and 1/2 cup of a good rich broth in it. Some people add a little broth to their chili, some don't. But I like the extra beefiness from having a little broth, and it was in with my beef. So we're going to let that come up to heat. There we go. We have a good simmer going. Now I like to add my spices now. I like them to cook in with the onions and the beef. I'm going to add a teaspoonful of chili powder. You can add more if you like. This is a 1/4 teaspoon measurement. I'm going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of cumin. And if you've never put cumin in your chili, you really should try it. I'm going to add about a 1/2 teaspoonful of salt. And about a 1/2 teaspoonful of red pepper flakes. Because I don't like things real spicy, but I do like things tasty. And red pepper flakes are tasty. And if you like black pepper, you should add it too. I never add black pepper to anything, but that doesn't mean you wouldn't like it. So after everything is together, I'll taste it, and I may add more of any of those spices. But for right now, that was a teaspoonful of chili powder, 1/2 teaspoonful of cumin, salt to taste, and about a 1/2 teaspoonful of red pepper flakes. And it's all bubbling really nicely. So the next thing is my home canned tomato sauce. Always listen for that whoosh. You can use whole stewed tomatoes here if you would rather. And of course you can buy this at the grocery store. But I usually have this stuff and don't need to buy it at the grocery store because all summer I can tomatoes and make tomato sauce. And then I'm adding a pint of my home canned salsa. And if you look, you can find the video where I canned this salsa. It's called Choice Salsa. It is a National Center for Home Food Preservation recipe. And there's the peppers, and I put cilantro in it, and more onions, and tomatoes, and I find that just that little bit of peppers is plenty for us. Next, I'm adding a quart of red beans. Okay. Camera malfunction again. This is what you get when you have amateurs filming. You saw me put in the red beans. The only other thing that I added that you missed was a 1/2 pint of homemade, home canned tomato paste. We mix everything up. I'm now going to let it simmer. I'm going to put a lid on, let it simmer for about 30 minutes to thicken up a little, and I'll set the lid just a little bit ajar so that some evaporation can take place. But in about 30 minutes, we'll check it and check our flavor, and it'll be chili. Be back then. Because of my memory malfunction, you didn't see the last ingredient. This is my home canned tomato paste, and the recipe for this is on National Center for Home Food Preparation, and it has been wonderful to add for thickness to many dishes. I recommend it. Okay, we've been about 30 minutes. It's been sitting here simmering, and it looks like chili to me, and Fred gave me the A-OK. He said it was good and we didn't need to add any more spices. I'm going to give it a little taste too. Have to cool it. It's good with me too. Not super hot. You can make it super hot if you want. Not sweet. You can make it sweet if you want. Lots of tomato, lots of beef, and just enough spices. I'm going to plate this up and show you what we got. There you have it. Chili from all home canned goods. Hope you enjoy it. It's rich, it's thick, it tastes great, and it was very easy and quick to make. Of course, all the work was done last summer. Thank you for joining us on Debbie's Back Porch. See you again tomorrow.